You don't want none! You don't want none!
What's going on, Tar Heel Nation? It is your favorite North Carolinian, Russ, the Tar Heel. And in this huddle, man, we're going to talk about Carolina's pre-spring game press conference with Coach Mac Brown. Forgive me for the backdrop and everything, man. I got a ton of family inside right now. Kids are running around everywhere and everything, man. But we're going to make it happen nonetheless. And the whole point of this little huddle that we're about to have is we're just going to talk about some of the things that Mac Brown talked about in his pre-spring game press conference, right? There's going to be a lot of coach talk, okay? Some of the same things that coach says year in and year out. But if you pay close attention, there's a little bit of nuances that kind of indicate maybe a slight change in the direction of the program, maybe some philosophical changes. And I think you're going to see them on the offensive side and the defensive side. I think we already knew that about the defensive side, but I think there were some statements made that kind of would really hone in on the fact that there are going to be some differences on the offensive side of the football as well. So forgive me, I'm looking down, man. I got a couple of notes here and everything, and we'll get through it anyway. So one of the first things that coach talked about was playing more personnel. And, it's interesting because we all know that, some of the more experienced receivers, J.J. Jones, the tight end room with Nesbitt, Copenhaver, they're all sitting out right now because they're recovering from injuries. They're trying to get ready for the fall. And so they're taking mental reps, but we're keeping them from practice, for one reason or the other, right? So it's kind of like a curse, but at the same time, it's a blessing. It's like a blessing in disguise, if you will, because a lot of the guys that are going to start right now, they're not getting those reps in the spring. But the good news is that we already know what a lot of these guys can give us, right? We know what John Copenhaver is capable of. We know what J.J. Jones can do. We know what Nesbitt can do for us, man. So we have those guys that came in Rutgers where do they really need, for all intents and purposes, do they really need those extra reps? No. And so what we've been able to do because of those injuries is we've been able to get a ton of young guys a bunch of reps, and it's coming with some pros and some cons. We're in the middle of a quarterback battle, and a lot of these quarterbacks, talking about Max Johnson and Connor Harrell, they're throwing to young receivers. And so, kind of one of the things Coach Mac Brown alluded to was they're kind of having to give a little bit of leeway, if you will. If you throw a good ball, man, and a young receiver drops it, then that's not counted against the quarterback, which makes sense, right? So little things like that. But he's also talking about how much these guys are making kind of splash plays, and they've very much impressed him, in spring camp. Talking about the Alex Taylors, talking about the Jordan Ships, some of these young guys that are getting, a lot more reps than they would have should a J.J. Jones or some of the tight end group, if they were in practice. So it's good that these young guys are getting reps, and I think that's going to pay dividends in the future when you talk about the importance of establishing depth, especially when we're talking about on the defensive side of the ball, the defensive line, finding linebackers behind Power Echols and Amari Campbell, who this is going to be Amari Campbell's alleged first year of actually starting. But, we got to find depth in that room, and there's no better way to do that than to give these guys some stinking live reps, man. Get them more and more acclimated to college football. So I thought that was an interesting aspect of just, looking at it from a blessing perspective, as in, hey, we have no choice but to give some of these young guys more burn, which is in effect, it's given them more experience, even though it's just on the spring practice level, just playing against college level competition. And it's enabling us to actually, grade them effectively and, really kind of try to establish that pecking order in the depth chart. He alluded to the fact that Jakaya Leftwich and Greenberg are still coming in, so they should be coming in soon. They won't play in the spring game or anything, but especially, Ja'Kiah Leftwich is one of those guys where, you would think that he stands a really good chance, a guy with a lot of experience, to get some good burn against, some of the competition that he might face within that North Carolina offensive line room, man. So I'm excited when he gets there to see kind of how he can disrupt things, or, whether he can take a starting role or he can just provide some much needed depth on that offensive line. But one of the more encouraging things was that, and I think this goes beyond the coach speak, is I really think that Coach Mack Brown is kind of high on this offensive line's ceiling, their potential, and he really hones in on the fact that, they're 6'8" on either tackle position, man. And I don't know how much of that, because he talks about it a lot. He's like, hey, we look good off the bus, right? He talks about, the fact that these guys are harder to get around, right? Kamen Rucker said it's harder to get to the quarterback, things like that. I don't know if those are like subtle shots at Diego Pounds, because he left for Ole Miss, because they showed him the bag and everything. But it's just kind of interesting that he keeps talking about the fact that, hey, we got Howard Sampson here, right? We got this 6'8" monster on the edge. And I'm looking forward to seeing him in game action to see if it's actually, all that coach is talking him up to be, man. Because if he is, then great. I mean, you got to think, man, 6'8" with that wingspan, bro, it's got to be hard, for somebody to get around that arm length and everything to actually get to the edge. And so I'm excited about that, man. I'm really excited to watch Howard Sampson, in practice, and just kind of continue to watch him grow and develop, as a Tar Heel, and see if he can actually effectively take that spot from Diego Pounds, man. Excuse me while the truck goes by. So, another thing that he talked about is what we've already expected, man. We know that the defense is going to be more aggressive, right? So the defense, they're bringing fire from every different angle. You got coaches just, he's like, hey, look, we're going to stink and come after you. We're not going to sit back. We're not going to wait anymore. We're going to come after the quarterback. And then he alludes to the fact that, in college football, it's difficult for teams that, you're behind the chains, if you will, because it's second and long because of a sack. If it's third and long because of a sack, it's hard for those teams to get these 80-yard drives, right? So we're going to come and we're going to try to force the pressure, man. We're going to try to make the quarterback, have to rush some throws. We're going to come and we're going to try to get you behind the chains. We're not just going to sit and wait for you to make a mistake. We're going to cause the mistakes, right? And so we already knew that was going to happen. I think we've all expected that from the defense when Coach Jeff Collins got hired as the defensive coordinator. But another interesting aspect is just the fact that, and maybe this is me looking too deep into it, but when Mack Brown said, hey, we have Omarion Hampton, and he is our guy right now, like Drake May was our guy last year. Well, we all know what that means, right? What that means, what I interpret that is that, hey, the offense is going to run through Big O, period. We got Omarion Hampton. Yes, we have a quarterback battle, but we have an All-American running back, right? And then you have guys like Barlow and, Davion Geis, and you have, Caleb Hood when he's healthy. So definitely have a running back room that's capable of doing great things. But I thought it was very interesting, the wording of, hey, Omarion Hampton is our guy, like Drake May was our guy last year. Everybody knows the offense ran through Drake, right? Omarion had a big year, but the offense ran through Drake May. Sometimes too much, when it could have actually been, I think given the ball to stinking Omarion Hampton would have, we might have got a couple of more dubs, if you will, especially in that Virginia and Georgia Tech game. But he's saying, hey, it's going to run through O, man. And that's what I've been saying all along, is I really fully anticipate that Carolina is going to go through some kind of identity change on the offensive end to where they start to close down a little bit, man. We have really good receivers out on the edge. The wide receiver room is still really good. And I still think that you're going to see the ball flung around, okay? But I think it's going to come after Carolina establishes the run. I think Coach Mac Brown, man, he's looking at his personnel. He's looking at what they have. They have a huge offensive line right now, aside from obviously Willie Lampkin being that outlier. And you have a 220-pound statue at running back. And Barlow was a big dude as well at 220. He's stocky, right? So you want to pound these guys, man. You want to run the football. You want to control the ball. Maybe, control the clock a little bit more and protect the defense, especially while they're trying to get on their feet, under the tutelage of Coach Jeff Collins, man. So I thought that was some interesting perspective that we got from Coach there. Is he said, hey, we got Omarion Hampton, who is like Drake May was last year. This is his team, bro. And of course it's going to be that in the sense of he's an All-American. So you're going to feed him, bro. You got to use the bell cow, man. And I fully anticipate him getting his stinking touches all season long. He talked up Travis Shaw. Now, this is one of those things where I'm still skeptical, right? Because I need to see it to believe it. I've heard all of the right things. Hey, he's buying in. Hey, his effort has been just like through the roof, right? He's holding the line. He's getting a push towards the quarterback. I've heard all these things, right? And maybe I've seen a couple of clips where it seems like maybe that is the case. But I want to see the former 5-star, put it into effect game in and game out. He's fully capable. The guy has all the upside in the world, man. Travis Shaw can be a first-round draft pick, no doubt. He's got the body. He's got the God-given frame and talent. It's just the question has always been, can you work hard, every play, give me all that you got, and just continue to get better and better and better. I think that's the question, right? That is the question with him. Pad level, drive, want to, those are the kind of things, man. But coach is saying, that he's looked a lot better. He's looked a lot better. And I think that that's something that we should all be looking at. We should all be looking at is how hard and how well does Travis Shaw play in the middle? Because you still got Javory Ritzie and you got Kevin Hester in the middle, man. Those are probably, more than likely, if you ask me, they're probably going to end up being the starters. And right now you only got a 3-man rotation, which is cause for concern. It's cause for concern because we've got to get, somebody else to help this rotation out, man, because you just don't want, especially your big bodies like that, just taking all of those reps, just every rep of every game. You got to keep those legs as fresh as possible. But I think it's going to be interesting to see if, Travis Shaw truly has taken that next step, man. That's going to be one of the things that I'm looking for sure, because if they continue to get pushed back into the linebackers' laps, teams are going to continue to do what they've been doing, man. They're going to pound the football against us, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't expect Power Echols and Amari Campbell, to fill gaps and fill holes when they got guards and tackles in their lap, centers in their lap, because we're not getting any drive and push from the interior defensive linemen, man. So make sure that you stink and watch and see how Travis Shaw does, in 2024 and in the spring game. Which is obviously it's April 20th at 3 p.m., man. So if you're in the North Carolina area, man, obviously your boy's thinking far away, and life happens, and I'm just not to that point yet. But if you can, man, get out to the stinking spring game, man. If you're in North Carolina and you're not doing nothing on a Saturday, it's for free. Go and support these guys, man. They've been working their butt off, man, and go see. Because you're gonna get a newer type offense. And you're going to definitely get a fairly new defense, man. So go and check them out, dude. Go and check them out, man. Fill Kenan Stadium up. So one of the things that Coach said that he was looking for is they're still trying to get, a quarterback. They're looking for a quarterback, running back, offensive line, defensive back, linebackers, and they're looking for a defensive lineman in the portal. So, and it's not just anybody. It's somebody that can help the team because they need depth, right? Got a couple of guys leaving. Tar Heels in the portal, man. Tar Heels in the portal, right? So offensive lineman, DJ Geth, he's a former 3-star out of South Carolina. Aiden Duncanson is a defensive back, 3-star out of Georgia. And then you got Legend Cavazos, a defensive back out of IMG. He's out of Florida, man. So I was really kind of surprised about Legend because I thought he was going to be in the 2 deep. He played some of the bowl game and everything, and he got some time sparingly. He was recovering from a knee injury from last year. But I guess with all the incoming, with Huzzy moving back outside, Allen's supposed to be healthy on the other corner. I think he just realized that he was going to be buried down the depth chart, and he's looking for a new opportunity to where he can, for all intents and purposes, he just wants to stink and play ball, man, and I completely understand that. So Legend Cavazos goes into the portal. And then one that kind of hurt me, man, just because he's a Tar Heel, just like in the blood, is Tad Hudson, right? He's a former 4-star quarterback, and, I was really surprised that Michael Merdinger was taking the reps as the 3rd-string quarterback, man, because I really thought that was going to be Tad Hudson's spot for all intents and purposes. But apparently Michael Merdinger has kind of solidified that 3rd-string spot, and I think Tad Hudson just said, hey, man, I guess I'm just going to have to go somewhere else and play football. So it's unfortunate that Tad is gone, and, we're going to be looking for another quarterback because 3 kind of is scary. Michael Merdinger is he's a true freshman right now. So, God forbid something happens to Connor, God forbid something happens to Max, then you got Michael Merdinger, a true freshman, with, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 1 year of starting experience in high school in Florida. Now, they say that he's capable. He's a good athlete. He's got a good arm. But, I mean, that's kind of a dangerous area to be in. And it's going to be real tricky trying to get a quarterback out of the portal because most of these guys enter the portal because they want to play. And, it's kind of solidified that the starter is going to be either Connor Harrell or Max Johnson. So it'll be interesting to see how Carolina kind of plays that and get somebody else on the roster if they can. Now, what Mac is saying that Carolina's going to do as far as their actual spring game, and he said, hey, we are going to be playing football. So what they're anticipating is 10 to 15 plays of thud, right, good on good, and then if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be 50 to 60 plays of actual football, right? So they're not going to do kickoff, they're not going to do kick return or anything like that. I think it's supposed to be 80 degrees, great weather, and Chapel Hill on Saturday. But they're not going to do that just because they don't want these guys running, that much, if you will, just moving from the spring into the warmer weather. But you're going to get to watch some football, man. I mean, Coach said, hey, look, we're going to play football. We're going to be physical, and come out here. It's for free, and you'll get to watch these guys play some football, man. So I wish I lived in the area, because I would stink and definitely be there. No doubt about it, and there will be a day where I'm at every stinking spring game and I'm at every home game. It's just not on the cards right now. So if you're fortunate enough to be close to Chapel Hill, man, get your butt to Kenan Stadium, man. Bring the family out and make it a stinking day. Coach Mac Brown said that they're looking for preferred walk-ons in the portal for the punters, right? They got to get some better protection from their punt team, man. Last season, they were atrocious. If I'm not mistaken, they were last in the conference in average punt yards per punt, man. And just the special teams in general was just abysmal, right? So he's looking for anybody that can help them in the punt game. And, so if you're a punter, a punter, by all means, please join the team because, that was a huge cause for concern in 2023, man. So looking for some preferred walk-ons in the portal as far as the punters are concerned. Another bright spot is Coach is talking about DeAndre Boykins returning, right? So one of the reasons that Huzzy is able to move back out to that corner spot, which is his natural position, is because, we're thinking that DeAndre Boykins is going to be ready to come out there and get back in that star position. And that's great, because I was a huge DeAndre Boykins fan, and was terrible when I found out that he got hurt last year, because he was so good the year prior to that, man. He's just a football player, bro. That's the best way that I can describe DeAndre Boykins. The kid's a stinking baller. And so, apparently he's out there flying around, man. He's still got a yellow jersey on. They don't want him tackling and stuff to keep him healthy. But it's good to hear that DeAndre's back on the field. Because even though he's a smaller dude, man, the kid's a football player, man, and I like it when he's out there. I feel good about it. And then Coach talked also about, how the secondary, the safeties, they're deeper, right? You got Jakeem Harris, Stick Lane. You still got Will Hardy. I think he's still wearing a yellow jersey right now. And, just a ton of depth in the secondary this year. And he thinks they're going to be better. I mean, Coach said multiple times, man, hey, I think we're better on defense than we've been since I've gotten here. And that's outstanding to hear. Because, if the defense was just a little bit better in the past 2 years, who knows what could happen? Who knows what could have stinking happened, man? I mean, Carolina could legitimately have played for an ACC championship, and actually won in 2022. Actually went back in 2023. And that's why I think the coach said, hey, we're close. I don't like that right now. Maybe it's just me. I've had a couple of months to kind of simmer down from the 2023 campaign. And I got real mad when he's like, hey, we're close. It's like, are we? But then when you kind of break it down and you're like, it just depends on how you look at it, man. I mean, technically speaking, I really think that with the schedule in place right now, Carolina could have a pretty stinking good season, man. And we'll talk about it more as the season goes on. But, I'm watching my son try to put the trash in the trash can. So anyway, we'll talk about it more as the season goes on, man. But I really strongly doubt that Carolina's not going to be able to have a really good season. So, it'll be interesting to see, man, as we watch Carolina in the spring game, dude. So, like I said, April 20th, 3 p.m., man, if you're in North Carolina and you're not doing nothing on a Saturday, make sure you can get out there and celebrate, all the hard work that these kids have put in, man. And go out there, watch the quarterbacks. Go and look at the trenches, man. Go out there, look at the offensive line, look at the defensive line. See how these guys are stinking battling in the trenches. Take note of the physicality. It's unfortunate the game's not going to be televised because, I'm not going to be able to see. I'm going to have to get it secondhand from, other people. But I think those are stinking things that we need to be looking for, and they're going to tell you a lot about how skeptical or how excited we should be about the 2024 season, man. I'm telling you right now, like, off the jump, and I'm not just saying this to say this, I wouldn't be surprised. Don't be surprised if this isn't actually the best statistical year as far as wins that Carolina's had since Mac Brown returned. I'm telling you right now, man, don't put it past these guys, this team, to do something special, because he alluded to the fact that they understand that they're not in the top 25. They understand that nobody's talking about them. They understand that, and they hear it and they see it, and it's a driving motivation. There's no hype. Under the radar. All-American running back. Under the radar. Hey, who knows, man? And it all starts April 20th as these guys really put some stuff together during the spring game. So let me know what you think about Carolina spring game, some of the things that Coach Mac Brown said in his press conference. If you haven't already watched it, man, I think it's going to be real interesting. Let me know down in the comment sections, what are the things that you're looking for the most during the spring game, right? Is it the offensive line, the defensive line? Are you looking at the secondary? Is it the quarterbacks? Which I'm sure everybody's going to be looking at the stinking quarterback play. Let me know down in the comment section, man. And if you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe to the channel, and consider becoming a member of the Huddle Hooligans as they help me keep the lights on. So anyway, I'm excited, baby. I hope you are too. We'll catch you on the next one, Tar Heel Nation.